On Sunday, a US warplane shot down another flying object, this time over Lake Huron on the US-Canadian border. This is the fourth such incident that began with the downing of a suspected Chinese spy balloon a week ago. Amid acute tensions with China, American securities have been closely monitoring their airspace, although only the first object has so far been attributed to Beijing. A senior administration official said that President Joe Biden ordered an F-16 fighter to shoot down the latest object out of abundance of caution. The official said that this new device, described as an octagonal structure with strings hanging off it, was not deemed to be a military threat to anything on the ground, but it could have posed a hazard to civil aviation as it flew at about 20,000 feet over Michigan. Reflecting the heightened state of alert, US authorities briefly closed the airspace over Lake Michigan on Sunday before the latest object was shot down further towards the Canadian border. In a statement, the Pentagon said that the US Aerospace Command (NORAD) tracked the new object visually and with radar, and it was downed over the lake to avoid impact to people on the ground while improving chances for debris recovery. On Sunday, a senior Republican accused Beijing of an act of belligerence regarding the first object. A Chinese balloon was shot down on February 4th off the US East Coast after American officials said that it was engaged in spying. China has insisted that it was a weather balloon blown off course. Among other lawmakers, US Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said that the second and third objects appeared to be balloons. One was shot down over Canada's Yukon territory on Sunday and one was downed over Alaska on Friday. Both were much smaller than the first large one. Meanwhile, on Sunday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was heading towards the western Yukon territory where the third unidentified object was shot down a day earlier. There, a US F-22 jet, acting on orders from the Prime Minister and US President Joe Biden, downed a high-altitude airborne object about 160 kilometers north of the border. Canadian officials described it as small and cylindrical, roughly the size of a Volkswagen car. Officials said that recovery teams backed by a Canadian CP-140 patrol aircraft were continuing their search on Sunday for debris in the Yukon. US teams were struggling with Arctic conditions as they searched near Dead Horse, Alaska, where the second object was shot down on Friday. Operations were also continuing off the South Carolina coast, where the past week's incident took place when the initial giant balloon was shot down.
Subscribe to Oneindia channel and never miss an update.